70 years.
That's true. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I missed the queue. Ian was bitching about where I live. No, I would never buy a home where I live. Don't be absurd. This is it's a rental place, folks.
That's fair.
Welcome. It's Local Chat, episode 218. That's right. We are 18 now. That's right. Get excited. 218.
Oh God.
That was a legality of sexual age. That was the joke. Do you guys get it?
Oh, yes. Okay, I get it. I get it.
Thank you.
It's about
folks,
consent.
It's about consent.
Wait, for how elves live longer? What do you think their barely legal age is?
Or whatever Yoda's species is.
Yeah, whatever Yoda's species is, gotta be like around 100, right?
Grogu's of age.
Grogu's he's probably 8 years old, right? In terms of human mentality, that's what he seems like.
Probably.
I think they say but on the show, I think they still say he's
50, right?
Yeah, super old.
He's super. Can you imagine having a toddler for 30 years?
So wait,
I would kill myself.
Are species that live
the
longer?
terrible 2 decades.
Are species that live longer in Star Wars just stupid for longer? Are they just toddlers for longer?
That's a great question.
I don't know that that's ever been established until Grogu, and I would guess it's species by species. But I do kind of think I understand why they did it story-wise, but if you sit there and think enough about the lore implications, it's a terrible decision to say that.
I mean, and because Chewbacca is also a full-grown adult in Revenge of the Sith. And then 30 years later is still and then 30 years after that. So Wookiees live a long time too.
And apparently, there was a discussion. I subscribe to the Star Wars subreddit, which is great because it's always, and I've complained about this before, but it's always people like, hey, how did Obi-Wan not use the bathroom on his trip to Kamino? How did he use the bathroom?
I just saw that today. I appreciate that. That's funny.
I appreciate, or people the age old what is Stormtroopers miss?
It's Tony Gilroy's burner account.
What's the point of doing this, that, and the other thing? And then at the end of the day, I just want to shake these people and be like, it's a movie. That's the answer. Yes. You're looking for answers in the wrong place. And I get technical about things too, but it's just at some point you just have to be it's a movie. And so I always want to grab people and shake them. So I don't remember where any of that rant was going, but I'm excited that we all went along the way. Anyways, we were talking about consent. So, video games. Switch 2. Who got a Switch 2?
That's right. I got a Switch 2. It's been out a week. Will, I believe you have a Switch 2. Is that correct?
I might be in possession. I was briefly in the possession of 2 Switch 2s, which is the Switch 4.
That's right. Jake, did you get a Switch 2?
It's on my to-do list.
On your to-do, well, guess what? There are plenty available from what it sounds like. We don't have this in the news section, but we did get confirmation from Nintendo that in the first 4 days they sold 3.5 million Switch 2s worldwide, which Will and I were talking. We were trying to guess the first week sales estimate, so the first 7 days, not the first 4 days. And Will, I believe you said 3.5. You either said 3.5.
I thought I said 5 million.
No, I said 5.
Oh, maybe I did say 3 million then.
You did 3.5. So right now you're much closer, but I'm waiting for that first 7 days estimate. But it feels like it's been a fantastic launch. I don't know if you guys have been following the anecdotes and pictures online, but it feels like every single person who wanted a Switch 2 and tried to purchase one, either in the pre-order or day 1 or day 2 or day 3 walk-in, was able to get one. That's what it feels like, right?
Mm. Every other tweet on my feed is a Mario Kart clip.
Yep.
I haven't gotten any Mario Kart clips.
You're on the wrong feed.
I'm on the wrong feed.
Yeah, you gotta get off the Star Wars subreddit, buddy. I told you not to make that your homepage.
It's that and Yahoo.
Yeah. So, Will, what was your? I know we did a stream about this, but just real quick, what was your Switch 2 launch experience?
So Switch 2 launch experience. We went to the Switch 2 store, which is Best Buy, and we waited in line, and we picked it up. I think we were home in bed, cuddled up by 12:30.
I would say I think it was even earlier than that.
Yeah, it was.
It was pretty quick.
It was pretty quick. I got my coin, my Best Buy Switch 2 launch coin. And then came home, didn't open anything. We opened it the next morning, and then we did that 4-hour stream with Zach from Save Data.
Yeah.
And it was an easy get for the Wilster.
Yeah, and I think at that Best Buy, by the time we left, there was probably about 100 people in line for pre-orders, and there was probably at least 150 people, I would say, in line just to get one that night without pre-order. And we heard them say they had sold at least 100 pre-orders and 63 walk-ins. So that Best Buy had at least 163, but that was before the end, and they were not sold out. So they had a random Best Buy in New Jersey. And it sounds like pretty much everywhere is like that. I do want to say, though, so thank you, Will, for giving me your Nintendo pre-order, because I still have not heard from them at all. Like, I signed up the same time you did and everything. And I know based on Reddit that people that signed up like hours later eventually got an invite, even though it was supposed to be first come, first serve. But I never got an invite from Nintendo to pre-order Switch 2. I got the email that said, hey, you're still in line. You don't need to do anything. But to this day, I have still not gotten the invite. So in my mind, the only thing that I think was messed up about this launch was that Nintendo pre-order system. You know, they can't do anything about the retailers. They could tell the retailers how many they have, but it's up to the retailer to do their own system and everything. I think the only thing Nintendo did wrong was that it wasn't even a lottery. It was supposed to be a first come, first serve with minimum requirements. And it feels like that did not actually work as planned. So maybe they needed more for that system or a better system there. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. What are you guys' impression? Feels like a good hardware launch, right?
Yeah.
From an outsider's perspective, having not gotten one myself, I have not seen anything that would make me think it was bad.
Yeah. But speaking of getting hands-on, Will, you've had a week now with your grubby little paws on that Switch 2. How do you feel hardware-wise?
Hardware-wise, I mean, the screen still tastes weird, so I'll have to get over that. But no, it's great. I'm really loving it. I brought it over to my in-laws and showed my sister-in-law, and because she has a Switch Lite, I believe. And actually, no, she traded that in for Switch 2. I remember doing that. Or not Switch 2, Switch 1, like bigger Switch 1. But I was showing her like the new Joy-Cons popping off, the 4K Mario thing. We played Mario Kart. And I like the hardware. I've been, while watching Survivor, I almost said and rehearsal, but I actually didn't play any video games while watching the rehearsal. I'm not a savage. But during Survivor and like YouTube videos and stuff, I've been playing, what is the name of it? It's from the Into the Breach.
Mario Kart World.
No, Into the Breach on my Switch 2, which looks great in 1080p on my on the Switch 2 screen. So it's been great. It's just a good game. It definitely feels more like I bought a better Switch than I bought the newest Nintendo console, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. They would have been crazy to do something really big differently. But it almost feels like I'm like, oh, the new DS came out. I can't wait to see what the new Nintendo console is, you know?
Well, just put your Switch and your Switch 2 together in like a clamshell.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Get
Problem
some duct
solved.
tape.
I think I agree with you, and I think that is a quote unquote bad thing, but it has also sadly become the standard because, like we talked about, that's the exact same thing that happened with the PS5 and the Xbox Series XS, where basically they did not have the software titles to showcase the better hardware. And at least for the Xbox, the UI and the transition was seamless, and the home menu was exactly the same. So you never felt like you were hitting a new generation. It was just a pro model of the previous generation. And I think for Xbox and PS5, that has turned into a major negative because they have not delivered yet on enough exclusives to really showcase the next gen. Whereas for the Switch 2, we're okay with that because it needed an upgrade. It's kind of the standard now that you're not going to get a huge generational leap, and they still have time to prove that it was worth getting a Switch 2. Whereas right now they only have, basically, the only first party Switch 2 exclusive out right now is Mario Kart World. Everything else is updates to Switch 1 games. So yeah, it's I have had some problems with it. We talked about the dock door I'm guessing you've moved the dock around a couple times. The dock, Jake, do you remember the dock on the Switch 1 and how that was? How it's like a door. Switch 2 dock is not a door. It fully fucking detaches, which is a pain in the ass because when I was trying to install the dock at my TV, the way my cables were, it's already a pain to try and plug these cables into it inside of an entertainment center. But then you have to like literally get a flashlight out to like find the hook marks on the dock door to get it lined up and then clamp it. And the other thing is the Switch 1, if I'm not mistaken, the dock door, half of it was open. So you could have cables coming out at, on like a 3 or 4 inch thing. The dock 2, it's only one corner. So I have my HDMI cable is thick as fuck because it's a good HDMI cable and it's like, I think it's like 10 feet long and it runs up to the TV and all that stuff. But it's thick and there's only like, I don't know, what would you say it is, Will? Maybe the size of like a $50 or the size of a golf ball is the size of the cable cutout in the dock door on the Switch 2.
I don't know.
And it's down in the corner.
I'll have to go check because I want to say it's about the same size as the Switch 1 one. Because the Switch 1 still annoyed me that you had to shove the cables down to close it.
No, but maybe it's more about the orientation where I think it came straight out the side, whereas on the Switch, the Switch 2, the connection is sideways. But then it has to go down into a corner. So I have this thick HDMI cable that I have to plug in and then bend one way to get it down to the corner and then bend it again so that it's not hitting the entertainment center underneath the dock. So it's little things like that that are a little annoying. I do have a question for you, Will, though. What do you think about the screen size in handheld mode?
Oh, I think it's awesome.
I think it may be slightly too big because this is preferential in a way, but I noticed that where I hold it naturally handheld away from my face, the screen looks a little bit too big. Like it's 7.9 inches, which I believe is, what was the Switch 1? The Switch 1 was 6 inches, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's enormous. It's 0.9 inches bigger than the Switch OLED. And so you think, wow, great, big, gorgeous screen. But I think it's actually a little bit too big. And it's funny because that's the thing making the whole console big. And so, again, another minor quibble, but it's one of those things where I was like, oh, the screen's going to be fantastic. It's so big. And then I get it and I go, okay, screen looks great, but I think it's a little bit too big. I could do with a little bit, maybe a half inch less. I don't know. It's just a weird quibble. I'm curious if you have that.
No, I think my Steam Deck screen's too small, so I like having the big. And I even went back to the Switch 1, and I'm like, oh, this is tiny. I mean, their resolution has a bit to play into that. Yeah. But I do like the size of the Switch 2. It feels like I'm holding... I don't know. It feels like I'm holding a newer, better console, because it's bigger.
Yeah. And I haven't traveled with it yet, so it is much bigger. I say much bigger. It's not like it's twice the size or anything, but it's pretty much the same size as a Steam Deck, except for the thickness, right? Yeah. And it's chunky. It's wide. It's tall. I haven't traveled with it yet. I don't think it'll fit sideways in my backpack anymore. I think I will have to do it upright.
Yeah, I need to buy a case for the cruise. Actually, you just reminded me of that, so thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah. So anyways, overall, I think overall, very positive takeaways for the Switch 2. It seems like a fantastic piece of hardware. For me, minor quibbles. We should mention HDR because I've seen us plug that Switch 2 into 3 TVs, and we've had HDR problems in every single one of them. Or I should say TV problems. So the studio TV, when we did the stream, would not recognize the HDMI. And I thought that was the splitter of the cables. But we ended up solving it without doing any of that. At some point, it just started working. And then we get home, and you could not calibrate the HDR properly on your TV. And the settings were confusing / not working properly on the Switch 2. And my TV... Switch 2 flat out does not work HDR wise on my TV, because when I try and set the HDR settings on the Switch 2, it says, oh, this TV is not compatible with HDR. And my TV is not in HDR mode because my TV, I think most of the time, just expects the device to pass HDR and that will turn it on. and that works for all my other devices, but I just can't turn HDR with the Switch on. So I do think there is some fucked up HDR shenanigans going on with the Switch 2. And I saw people saying even when it's working, it's like horribly miscalibrated, and you have to like tweak all this shit to get it to a decent HDR. So yeah, just want to say there's lots of little tiny minor quibbles, but I think overall pretty good launch. I'm sure we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we talked about it before launch. This is an incredibly weak software launch, the same as the PS5 and the Series SX, right? Like it's not nothing.
Yeah.
But there's not much here to really compel you to get a Switch 2 other than the hardware. There's not much going on games wise to push you towards it right now.
Yeah, I will say the leap seems bigger than to Xbox Series X and PS5. Like if these all came 100%. Out at the same time, I think I'd prioritize the Switch first and then the Xbox, then the PS5.
I wonder how much of that though is like, so if you look at PS5 and Series SX games now and you compare them to the tail end Xbox One games, there's a huge difference there. But at launch, even the exclusive titles didn't look that different because of technology. I don't want to say they weren't used to the consoles, because I don't really think that's what it was. I think it was more they weren't used to Unreal Engine 5 and the new engines coming out, etc. Mm-hmm. And it feels like with Switch 2 kind of hit a nice point where you can run, as far as I can tell, you can run Unreal Engine 5 games and 4 games at high on the Switch 2 at launch. So it's like it's new hardware, quote unquote, but it's using engines that are well known, well optimized. A lot of games already exist for them that were not available for the Switch 1. So it's like they also hit a sweet spot where developers are not having this learning period of, oh, there's new hardware, it's going to be 2 or 3 years before we figure out how to optimize it. They're like, no, man, you want to play Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p 30 FPS day one? We got you, which is better than what, Xbox One could do, etc. So it feels like there's a hardware leap, but there's also the software knowledge to take advantage of that day one, whereas the Xbox Series X and PS5 did not. Like you were saying, that didn't feel like a generational leap because there wasn't software to take advantage of it at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Overall, I'm really happy with the Switch 2. I'm excited it's out. I'm excited for Nintendo games and playing things on my Switch 2.
I am going to have the question now. I'm sure you had this question with the Steam Deck, which is when a multi-platform game comes out now and it's available on Switch and PC and consoles, it's like, okay, which one should I get it for? Should I get it for the PC or should I get it for the Switch 2? Whereas previously that wasn't really an option because the Switch 1 was just indie games, and even games like 1,000 Times Resist, which was on the Switch and the PC. The Switch version, they were like, hey, this loads very slowly and it's hard to read the text because of the screen. So the Switch kind of became this console of like, there's a lot of multi-platforms that it's not really an option there. There is a superior version. But I think now I'm in this phase where I'm like, every game that comes out, okay, is it on Switch 2? If it is, now I got to ask myself, do I want this handheld or not? Because that's going to determine. Yeah. Now I have a handheld option to get these games.
I think I always default any like mainline game I'm going to play. It's usually Xbox because I can sit at the couch playing on the Xbox. And most of those games are like Game Pass and stuff like that. PS5 exclusive, obviously I'll get on PS5. But then for PC, most games I'm playing on PC are also like, if I'm buying a game specifically on PC, it's because it's only available on PC. And then if I can also play it on my Steam Deck, that's great. But it's not like a viable
you could turn it into a couch game. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes with that. That's Switch 2 launch, folks. Get out there, get your Switch 2. Time to switch to Jake's gutters, which I hope are the ones attached to your house.
I didn't intend to pivot away from video games after we got started, but
they're here.
No, I don't. I cleaned out my gutters today, and I don't think my landlord had ever cleaned out the gutters.
Great,
because Why
did you clean them out? Make them clean it out.
Because I noticed things were growing out of them, and so I'm like, this just needs to. I just need to take care of this.
Jake's a man.
I need to. There were like leaves and little sprouts coming up out of the gutters. I'm like, no, I just need to do it. But next time, yeah.
Did you find anything
Gotcha.
cool?
That's it. No.
Jake, you probably know this, but this blew my mind when we moved to Florida. It turns out that a lot of houses in Florida, just by default, don't have gutters.
Yeah.
Which is fucking wild to me with how much rain happens. Like the whole purpose of a gutter is to get the rain away from the house so it doesn't just sink down into the foundation of the house and fuck it up. And like my house doesn't have gutters, and we kind of need to, because we've had multiple rounds of wood damage on the outside of the house because the rain comes off the roof, hits the ground, bounces onto the house, you know. And it's just wild to me. I don't know. Were you aware of that, Jake? That Florida homes just don't have gutters? It's wild.
I was aware of it, maybe not so much consciously, but I was aware of it the one year that my dad had a hernia, and so we got surgery to fix the hernia and couldn't do, a lot of like heavy lifting for a couple of months, and it was towards Christmas. So I was in charge of hanging the lights up on the house that year. And
Gotcha.
so yeah, in my head, maybe I hadn't thought like, oh yeah, house doesn't have any gutters, but I was certainly up there, doing my thing. I imagine it's probably because they tear off easily in
hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a balancing act of, are you okay with gutters flying, but then you're not going to get water damage on your house? Or are you okay with long-term water damage, but no gutters at risk?
Our next door neighbor had a screened in, he screened in his patio that had his pool and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So the screen went up like 2 stories. And in Andrew, the whole thing just got ripped off. And he never replaced it.
From the bird cage, yeah. I think bird cages are actually required by law in most of Florida now. If you build a pool, you have to build a bird. You know what I'm talking about, Will? It's like
the Airbnb I had in Florida had one.
Yeah,
I actually really liked it.
I'm kind of half and half about it. I think the problem is that it stops stuff from falling into the pool, and it stops little kids from getting into your pool. But then the shit just falls on the bird cage. So periodically you have to go up there and brush off the top of the bird cage.
I was of two minds. Like in the Airbnb, it was nice to go outside and know like you're still protected from nature and you can just hang out in the back. But I think if I owned a house, I'd be like, I want to use my damn lawn, sort of thing. Does Florida doesn't have basements, do they?
No, water table's too high.
I wonder if that's why also the gutter thing.
It's high water table, and most of our elevations are super low as well.
Gotcha.
So it's like I'm like 50 feet above sea level here or something.
Damn, the sea's like your doorstep.
It's like nothing.
It's like nothing. I don't know how many I don't know how high I am right now. I gotta look that up. Whoa, bro, like 50,000 feet in the stratosphere. Speaking of the stratosphere, Jake's gutters are clean. We're excited for that, and we're as a congregation will pray that they remain clean in the eyes of the Lord. Moving on, folks. It's time to talk about video games. I used to have a button for that, didn't I? Oh, I still do. Ooh, there's like a breath in there. It's very sexual. It was like a hello. K-19. Jake Terrio.
Well, why are we talking about the submarine?
Because
I don't see what's the connection.
Because I know it's K-19, but I keep saying I only hear it as K-19.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. I was like, what do video games have to do with the submarine?
How are your comfort games? These look like comfort games.
Sorry, if I can cut it real quick. You know how bands, you know how they do like super bands where they get like different members of different bands together to make one band?
Yes.
They should do that. I mean, I know they've done this before, but there should be like a movie version of that, but it's just all the things that have been called Widowmakers. So it's like K-19, and then there's like the Dodge Viper from the 90s, like all the different shit that has been called a Widowmaker, and it's like a villain team.
The Overwatch character.
Yes, yeah. And it takes place on a widow's walk on top of an old building. And that's the whole thing.
It's like a villain Avengers.
And every character is also a widow and widower. Except one person's a murderer.
It's like half of me is the sub stands upright and it's anthropomorphic, and then the other part of me is like no, the sub is always in the water, and no matter the scene, they always cut to the sub like it's there.
That's like the I showed it to you. Someone concepted Jaws as a Dead by Daylight monster, and so he just floats around with a pool of water around him. It was like, and this person who concepted it like animated him ripping people out of lockers and stuff, but it's just a pool of water the whole time. Very funny.
That's great. I'm sorry, Jake. I just had to voice that idea.
No. I like it. Yeah, these are all somewhat comfort games, but I'm pressing pause on Balatro because I finally gold chipped every deck.
Damn, girl.
Jake, Jesus Christ. Do you remember when Kyle was on and he was like, I don't know how long this game is. Like, it seems pretty short. Like, I'm pretty close to beating it. And I was like, what do you mean by beating it? And he goes like, getting through all 9 antes. And I was like, buddy, that's not a
casual game.
Yeah. What's your hour count on this, Jake? You piece of shit, you sicko.
I don't know. It's on my Switch. I don't have it near me.
Oh, it's gotta be like, wait, didn't you recently say it surpassed Islanders or something?
I think last year, the annual hour time at the end that they give you, I think it was more than Islanders, but
yeah, it's definitely several hundred hours by now.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's not quite to Destiny threshold yet, but yeah, so I gold chipped every deck in Balatro, and now I can peacefully wipe my hands of it for a time and set it aside. But similarly, on a same kind of like intellectual thread, I have still been playing Enter the Gungeon because I just keep finding new things. I keep discovering new stuff.
What do you mean by I've been seeing you posting in the Discord, but I'm not super. I know what this game is. I played it a tiny bit, but what do you mean by discovering new things? Like, how are they discovered and what are they?
So there are, like, throughout any individual run, well, like at the very start of the game, you just have your little heroes and like the hub area. And throughout your explorations, you can discover new NPCs down in the Gungeon, and then they'll populate the hub area. And every once in a while, if you talk to one of them, they'll say something about like, hey, have you noticed that room with the fireplace in it? I wonder if that fireplace does something. And you're like, I have been in that room, but I've never tried to interact with that. And so then you like do that, and it unlocks like a whole new level of the Gungeon that you've never been to before. Or like, you start to see like these little like anomalous bits throughout the Gungeon, and you interact with them, and you're like, oh, now my character has like a new attribute. What do I do with this? They'll give you a thing, and then you have to like find out what to do with it. Like, where does it go? What does it do? So yeah, I've been unlocking new stuff, new areas, new bosses, alternate endings, or like, I guess there's like a true ending that I have gotten now.
Wow.
Yeah, fun game. And there's still like their Ammonomicon, great name for a fake in-universe book, still has a bunch of like undiscovered stuff in it, including a couple of bosses. I'm like, I don't even know how to get to those, but I'm trying not to. I don't want to deprive myself of learning about those by like going to a wiki and just figuring out how to do it. But yeah, so I'm still fiddling around in there. And then just today, Backyard Baseball landed on the Switch.
Nice.
So I played a little bit of Backyard Baseball, and I might love baseball. I'm unsure.
I know Backyard Baseball has a lot of charm. It has a lot of nostalgia on it. Is the actual gameplay of Backyard Baseball good?
I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. No. My pause is not to say that it isn't. I was curious, finding myself playing it and like refamiliarizing myself with how the game played, since it's probably been like 20 years since I played it. And I was actually like, this is actually kind of tense. Like I'm getting invested in like the like, oh no, like I've got like, I've got bases loaded, I've got 2 outs and 2 strikes. Like this, it's make or break time. It's all very simple, Like the gameplay is all very simple, but you're still like, oh, baseball.
Yelling at the children.
Jake's
Yes.
next obsession is going to be sports. It's just not clear which one it's going to be.
Yeah, who knows which one it's
Can
gonna
I
be.
interest you in Formula One? There's a movie coming
Don't
out.
get in
I
his
am
van.
gonna see the movie. Oh, I am gonna see the movie, and I wanted to say, this is like I'm backtracking 19 different thoughts right now, but I've been watching your RoadCraft streams.
Yes.
And I was pleased
Disgusting.
to know that Will enjoyed the rehearsal season 2, despite his initial reservations about it that he talked about on stream. And
Yes.
the stream I was watching today, you both were kind of sporadically singing God Only Knows throughout the stream, and now Brian Wilson is dead. So
No, we
Yeah.
killed Brian
you
Wilson.
prophesied.
We did. Yeah.
I mean, God only knows.
But no, I'm not interested in F1, but I'm gonna go see the movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if that's a good. It's probably a good way to get you interested about the speed and the driving.
Yeah, you were also talking about the movie on the RoadCraft stream, and did not mention. You mentioned that it's from the director of Oblivion and Tron Legacy, but you didn't mention that he also directed Top Gun Maverick. You mentioned Top Gun Maverick, but not in relation to it sharing the same director as F1, Joseph Kozlowski or whatever his name is.
God bless you.
Yeah, so it's a lot of similar filming techniques. Yeah, because they filmed at races and things.
I saw he talked about not wanting to cast Tom Cruise in the Brad Pitt role because he's like, Tom would want to do way too much of it, and it would be too real.
Tom would be getting his super license so he could actually race in F1. Yeah, I'm going to be curious. I think it's going to be an okay movie, but how much I'm going to love it depends on how good the car stuff is and how much real life people are in it, because they've already shown some of the real life people, including there's this crazy German team coach called Gunther Steiner, and he talks
Great name.
He talks like this, where he's just like, well, we've got to get in the car and you got to you've got 2 dicks. What are you going to do with them? And it's just like, he just says some of the craziest shit ever. And he looks like a skeleton with skin. And he is the most entertaining man in Formula One history. And he's in this movie, even though he's not in the sport anymore. And how much it is going to be a direct correlation between how much he is in the movie and how good that movie is going to be. Because you could do an entire movie just on that man. He's fucking wild.
I need to go back and I need to watch John Frankenheimer's Grand Prix, because it looks like it's got a lot of the same kind of like visual language.
Yeah, I watched it recently. It's very good.
Should go watch John Frankenheimer's The Train.
But Jake, what you should watch is if you're getting romantic about baseball, then you should watch what I talked about a couple weeks ago in local chat, which was
Moneyball.
No, that's great. Excuse me, the Bobby Kotick vehicle.
Oh, Moneyball. Right, yes.
No, there was a YouTube video that I put in the content call out called The Longest Baseball Game Ever Played. And it's like an incredible animation story about literally the longest game in baseball history in the 80s. And it's incredible. I'm not crazy about baseball as a game. It's fun going to baseball games mostly because you can pay attention to them and have fun.
Yeah.
But baseball is one of the most romantic sports because, like you're saying, there's a tension, there's a history, there's a slow play out of the story. So I could totally see you getting into that aspect.
Well, my very second, I'd only played 2 games in backyard baseball since I downloaded it this afternoon. And my second game, it's 7 innings normally. And my second game, I went to 10 innings because I got we were tied up 1-1 at the bottom of the 6th. And then by the end of the 7th, we were tied up 3-3. And then we went 3 more innings. And so it's stuff like that where I'm just like, oh, like every pitch, every hit is like, oh,
every hit matters.
What's it going to be? Yeah.
Just one more call out on baseball and the tension and good stories it has. I've talked about it before. One of my favorite podcasts is The Dollop. They do like comedy. They tell history stories, but it's 2 comedians. So they're like riffing and improvising the whole time. And actually, it's the episode that Will and I listened to a couple years ago. Sometimes they'll do baseball episodes talking about baseball. And the episode we listened to was about, it wasn't about Ty Cobb, but it had Ty Cobb in it. And I don't know if you guys were aware, but Ty Cobb, very famous baseball player, also incredibly racist. And he was playing at the time that the leagues were trying to integrate to basically end segregation. And long story short, there was
ended segregation.
There was going to be a game, and the game was going to have. There's going to be a game, and the game was going to have an African American player in it. And Ty Cobb hated that so much that he convinced the rest of his team to boycott the game. But his team's manager was like, "Fuck you! This is happening. If you're not going to play, we're still going to play the game." So he got. I forgot who it was. It was somebody. It was some non-player.
Jackie Robinson, or was it someone else?
I don't. It may have been somebody else. But the point is, long story short, it was an MLB game where only one team showed up, and the other team just had some former baseball player on their coaching staff go outside the stadium and grab a bunch of random fucking people from a bar and brought them into the stadium. So it was a full fucking MLB game with the professional team against people that they literally pulled off the street.
Deputized a bunch of randoms.
Yeah. And the crazy thing was they didn't do that bad. Like, I think the final score was like 30-3 or something, which is, you would expect it to be worse. but yeah, there's so many like crazy stories around baseball. It's a very, very romantic sport. Boring as fuck to watch, but very romantic. I think you would enjoy it, Jake.
I think, well, not to talk more about baseball's racist history in America, but it is crazy to me that the team Jackie Robinson played on when they were desegregating the leagues was in Sanford, Florida, which is like not an unracist town by any stretch.
Well, no, but Florida always had a big African American population, and because there were also a lot of free African American towns in Florida where you would get an African Americans from other parts of the United States who would then deliberately travel to Florida to establish their own African American towns.
And now it's where woke goes to die.
That's right.
Shout out to steroids. Baseball. That's all I know about baseball.
Dang.
Barry
Shout
Bonds.
out to steroids. Barry Bonds and David Ortiz was a player. And Tim Wakefield.
That's right.
Those are the three people I know about
who that is.
He's a
I've
Red
been to
Sox
like
pitcher.
6 Dodger games, and that's it.
I've
They're
never
fun,
been to a
right?
sports game, but someday.
No, I've been to the Dodgers. I've been to Dodger Stadium. Got me a Dodger dog.
Well, we should go to a baseball game
I
because
would
you don't understand.
literally
You go there,
rather.
you don't understand.
Rather
You
lick
don't
a
understand.
toilet.
The game is so slow that you sit there and just talk the whole time, and then every now and then something happens and you cheer. And then there's always good food around the stadium, so you're just walking around doing that.
Talk. I don't.
Yeah,
I want to be home
cheers and chants,
playing video games.
and they do like 7th inning stretch. It's so much
all
fun.
Go as part of Sunday service to pay our respects to the Pope. We all got to go to a White Sox game.
Should all fly to Chicago.
We could do a live Sunday service at the White Sox game.
Yeah,
we have the technology.
We do. God is with us. Speaking of God, I have been playing video games this week. Roguelite Deck Builder is a game I've played. This is a Gil Lawson game. We played Goblin America on the Steam Next Fest stream. I was very into the surreal parts of that game. I was less into the gameplay parts of that game because it seems like a speedrunner game. But Roguelite Deck Builder is exactly what it sounds like. You are building a deck for your husband. Your husband greets you at the beginning of the game, says, "I'm husband, and you need to build a deck for me." And then every time you finish a deck, they go like, "Man, you're so good at building decks. I love watching your husband loves watching you build decks."
Jeez.
And to build the deck, you put down a plank, you get the nail in the right spot, and then you use the mouse to hammer in the nail. Every time you hit your hand, you lose $1. Every time it ranges from like perfect to okay for hitting the nails in. And you earn money. I think like a completed nail is $6. A perfect is like something else. So anyways, you're working through that, and then you
wrong business.
I know, right? You finish a deck, and you go back to see husband, and then you go to the store and you upgrade your items, and then you go build a deck. That is the gameplay loop, and it is super satisfying. Basically after every deck built, the money scaling I don't know if it was just the upgrades I was getting, but it just worked out that every single time I would just go back in and be able to upgrade some things and just move along. So it never felt like it was dragging. It never felt like, oh, I'm just building a deck and like I've built 8 decks and I still can't afford this next upgrade for my hammer. So every time I finish a deck, you'd be like, hey, let me upgrade my hammer, some nails. You can get it so you can squish bugs more easily, and you get money from squishing bugs. You can get cash boards where this cash is ticking down as fast as you can nail it in, so you like lock in the price of the board. But overall, it was like probably a 2-hour experience. I think it was $3 on Steam. Totally worth it. Fun little game where you're just building a deck. It's like a stupid, I don't know, like just a stupid little game that I really enjoyed. So that is, and it is run based, so you can go, like there were leaderboards and everything for it. That's Roguelite Deck Builder. Go build your husband a deck. They deserve it.
I want more of these, because there's also, what was the other one? You Must Dig a Hole?
Yeah.
I forget the exact wording of it.
A short game about digging a hole, or something game about digging a hole. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like the idea of like somebody being like, hey, we got one mechanic. We're going to implement a shitload on it. It's going to be a 2-3 hour game and it's $2-3. Like, heck yeah, give me that shit. Like even Vampire Survivors at the start was basically that. And then they expanded beyond that and made it $1 more expensive. But like, I love that because it feels like a lot of games now are like, we got a really cool mechanic. Now let's build a $40 game around it. Or if you're a AAA studio, it's like, let's spend 10 years, $500 million and charge people $80 for a shitty game around this core mechanic.
Would you consider Balatro in that same camp?
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, yeah.
Stop Poker's a little more involved.
I think the only thing is Balatro was a little bit more expensive, wasn't it? Not in a bad way.
I thought.
I think it's got to be under 5. I think it's got to be tighter and under 5 in order to fall in this.
Yeah, and
Pony Island.
I don't know how much more content there is in Roguelite Deck Builder that I missed out on, but it does have that surreal twist. It's fun. There's like random nails. Like there's one nail that really likes getting pounded, and then there's a bunch of other stuff like that. So, yes, sir.
Sorry, back. Total non sequitur, but we just watched Little Shop of Horrors for the first time.
Never seen it.
Frank Oz's Little Shop of Horrors for the first time. And I was shocked that I had always heard a lot about this movie, but no one had mentioned that Bill Murray cameos as like a weird freak with a psychosexual dental fetish.
Yeah. No, that's I don't know how you missed that, because for me, knowing nothing about Little Shop of Horrors before I watched it. Yeah, it's him, and then there's another guy too. Isn't Dan Aykroyd in it?
No, Belushi plays like a plant salesman at that
it's like Belushi, Murray, and then like John the big Candy's plant saying it.
But he gets off on dental pain, and he's like gripping Steve Martin's back. It's very weird.
It's a good movie. It's one of the few good musicals.
A few good musicals starring Tom Cruise,
a few good
Jack
musicals.
Nicholson. You can't handle the
music.
Sing me the chorus.
No, he would go, you can't handle the, and then there would be a sweeping music thing, and then he would sing through. Yeah.
I don't mean, look,
we got to do this.
Hey.
Let's look at music.
This is a show about sidetracks.
Marine gets murdered.
But this episode's all about sidetracks. But to be fair, we haven't talked about World War II yet. So I feel comfortable asking the question. Jake,
yes.
Have you seen All That Jazz?
No.
You need to see it. It's fucking amazing. I watched it recently. It may be my favorite musical now. It's
on my list.
Absolutely incredible. It's an incredible movie.
I think it's incredible. In the Criterion collection?
Maybe.
Question mark?
Maybe.
Hold on.
Mr. Criterion.
It should be. But anyways, yes, highly recommend. Highly. Speaking of musicals, All That Jazz. It's very good.
In the Criterion collection.
Will, what else have you been playing?
Bob Fosse.
The Switch 2, obviously, we'll get into that later. As well as Resident Evil 4. I've dove back into it. The remake? The remake. Resident Evil 4 remake. I started this in 2023, and then I started again in February of this year, I want to say. And it's very good. It's very awesome. I am trying to work through my backlog, not just my backlog, but the list of games that I have marked down as not actively playing, but I have started them and I haven't moved them out of the category to being like abandoned, or there's games I moved to board games, like a Balatro and stuff like that. So I went back to Resident Evil 4 and it's really good. I'm on chapter 9 or 10 now, and it's good to play Resident Evil. I think I'm learning about myself, and maybe I've always known this. Who I am inside is a person who likes 3D action puzzlers. Just like give me a good one. And I think playing through the Resident Evil games is good. They announced 9 over the weekend, so I'm excited about more Resident Evil. But at this point, I'm like, I should go back and like try branching out of the genre again and going. I should hit that Dead Space remake. Jake, according, I think it was you, Jake, that other game, that Glenn Schofield game, is not worth it at all. That came
Callisto
out.
Protocol?
Protocol?
No,
Callisto.
I got like
Callisto.
30 minutes into it, and the game feel was just bad.
Yeah.
Ugh.
There's also,
I didn't love it.
I had mentioned I need to finish Silent Hill 2 and also Silent Hill 2.
And Soma.
Well, yeah, but Soma's not a third-person action.
That's true.
Puzzler.
It's first person.
It's a first-person action puzzler. Where was I going with that? Anyways,
Alien Isolation.
Alien Isolation I've already played. And the Evil Within games, but I think I might save those for also Spooky Pixel as well, because those are
supposed to be
sort
good.
of. Yeah, I've always heard that they're like. Again, you forget that when you get into genres, there's like the main games in those genres, and then there's like the nicher games in those genres that all the sickos play because they can't get enough of the genre, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's usually what people recommend. They're like, oh, but I mean, check this out. And you're like, okay.
The sicko stuff.
The sicko stuff.
Sicko style.
It's like when you're like, oh, I played Final Fantasy VII. What are other good JRPGs? And they like recommend to you like Tales of Fuckface 18, and you're like, in this one,
hey, that's a good one.
This one,
hey,
you could build a kingdom, and you know, it's always just like some crazy thing. And all these caveats. Anyways, Resident Evil 4. There's also a boss fight in there
cover art for
that I made when I worked at GameSpot. I made a guide on how to kill the boss in one shot. So I went and watched the guide and killed the boss. I didn't manage to kill the boss in one shot because I'm pretty sure they patched out the ability to do it. So I killed him. I won. I got past the first phase of the boss fight in one hit.
Gotcha.
Which is basically the same thing. So it's good. Resident Evil 4, great game. We love it. Ian Gibson.
Proud of you.
How are your roads, and are they crafted?
Yeah, I'm still playing RoadCraft. I did the count earlier, and there are 8 maps in the game. I am almost done with the 6th map. No, that's not true. I'm almost done with the 5th map. 5th map. I'm at, I don't know, I'm probably at about 60 hours now in the game. Still enjoying it. I'm not sure I'm going to continue playing it though. However, because we talked previously about how the way the game progresses is that as you get experience, you unlock levels, which allow you to purchase more vehicles. And there's kind of, it is very gross simplification in my head. There's 2 types of providing upgrades to the player, right? There is, hey, you have this item, it lets you do X. And one path is the next item does X times 2, right? It does the same thing better. And then there's another way where it's like, hey, this item does A and B. And the upgrade is it only does A, but it does A better. And there's another vehicle that only does B, but it does B better. And so it's like you're getting these upgrades, but they're not necessarily better. So I'll give you an example. There's a tree harvester. If you guys have ever seen the videos of a tree harvester where it's like, it literally has an arm with like a claw at the end of it, and it'll reach out, grab a tree, cut it. It'll fucking jerk off the tree, actually, is the best way to verbally describe it.
I have a model.
And they're awesome. So the one you get by default is it has tracks, and the arm is kind of short and it's slow. But it's got a small footprint and it's got track, so it's better at all terrain. It's easier to turn it on a dime. It's pretty slow. It's probably like 5 miles per hour. So if you have to take it anywhere distance, you got to put it on a trailer. Otherwise, you're just going to be driving it forever. So it's got some trade-offs, right? The upgrade is much faster and it has a longer arm, but now the vehicle's twice as big and it has wheels and not tracks. So it doesn't fit in small spaces and you can't turn it as quickly, but the arm's better. So it really is like a trade-off, and it's like that for all the fucking vehicles in the game. It's rare to find a vehicle in this game after you've played it for 20, 30 hours, you unlock the vehicle and you start using the upgrade. It's rare to have a vehicle that is across the board much better than its previous one. Most of the time it is, hey, this doesn't do everything the previous one did. It only does part of it, but it does that much better. And 50, 60 hours into the game, I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, I've done a lot of the shit you've asked me to. Can you just give me like flat out across the board better vehicles? And that's not really the way the game is set up. So that's a little frustrating. And then the other thing is just that I've done so much. I am still enjoying most of the activities. I am not seeing new activities though. There's a decent variety of types of activities, cut down trees, haul them over here, build a bridge, clear the roads, clear these stumps, get from here to there, etc. But I don't think I think I've kind of run out of unique challenges, and so they're kind of repeating themselves. But where they are getting more complicated is I'm on the last mission of the 5th map, and literally the only thing I have to do is deliver I have to get these 2 AI vehicles to a certain point. But when I look at it, there's like 300 feet in separate sections of muddy dirt that needs to be paved. And I'm like, okay, that's going to take me about an hour because I'm going to have to haul all my like asphalt and paver vehicles over there, then do it. And that's annoying. And then move to the next section and do it. But at the same time, like we talked about, if you have to build a road as part of a mission, it will do it automatically for you once you deliver the vehicles. Like you just deliver the vehicles and say build road and it'll do it for you. So it's this weird thing where the game is still very good. It's still very great, but it's outstaying its welcome. Mm-hmm. And since I've kind of gotten all my enjoyment out of it, and now the only thing left are the annoying little points, I'm probably not going to finish it, which is a shame. It's still going on the GOTY contender list. It's the best of that series, which is such a unique little micro genre they've created. But yeah, it's a shame they didn't quite nail that mid to end game balance, I would call it. Will, are you still playing RoadCraft?
Not as much. It was a podcast game for a bit. And then I don't know. I think I'm at the same level as you are, or same thought process as you are. It just came to a lot earlier, and I was like, I could keep playing this a lot and like get through it, or I could just save this game for when I'm like, I want to go play some trucking and build a road and do some shit. So I think that's mostly what I'm saving it for. But I really like it. It definitely deserves to be on the GOTY nomination list, and I'm excited for it.
I think I'm going to steal that mentality where it's like, there is no pressure for me to keep playing and finish this game right now. It's okay for me to put it on the shelf, and whenever I get the itch to play a trucking game or one of these games, I've got it there. I already know a lot about it. I've already got a lot unlocked, and there's plenty more for me to still do with it.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it.
That's my process with any, like, unless it's a story-based game that I'm super into, like I won't drop a linear story, more story-based, or not necessarily linear, but story-based game unless something else has come out and is overtaking it, versus like a Balatro, a RoadCraft, any of those types of games where it's like, I can play this game anytime, and as long as I haven't forgotten how to play the game, it is not a chore to like even like Into the Breach the other day, I picked it back up and like turned tutorials on, and I was like playing it, and I'm like, I really don't need tutorials. Like, I know how to play Into the Breach. So it's more, obviously RoadCraft is more is bigger than a Balatro or Into the Breach, but in my brain it still falls into that category of like, this is a game I can pick up anytime when I have the itch to do X, Y, and Z, so
that's a good way to put it. The only other game I've been playing is Mario Kart World. Will, how's Mario Kart World treating you?
It's treating me good. I love Mario Kart World. It's fun. I've been playing a lot of the online Knockout Tour.
Yeah.
Knockout Tour, which is super duper fun. Karen and I played a bit. Yeah, it's overall everything I would want in a new Mario Kart. It's missing a few things that I think will eventually get added. As I think a lot of comparisons for it to Mario Kart 8 is to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after 10 years of DLC and changes, which is hard to do. Like, you got to compare it back all the way back to the Wii U. And there's a few things I don't necessarily like about World, but overall I'm excited for a brand new Mario Kart title.
I do think it has a very high skill ceiling. Like, it feels like players have still not found the skill ceiling. So just an example, do you know about
seeing some crazy clips?
Yeah, do you know about the crouch jumping, Will?
You mean just jumping in general?
No, so there's some technique. I've done it once. I don't know what the actual technique is, but I think if it's part of the drifting. I think if you start a drift while you're going straight and you hold it long enough, you hit this point where when you let go, you jump. And so people will be going along straight and use that to then jump on the wall and start a wall ride instead of waiting for a ramp or something. So there's all sorts of like new techniques in this, the grinding, the wall riding, the crouch jump, that are leading to a lot of people finding some crazy lines through the courses. And it definitely feels like there is a much higher skill ceiling in this. I will say, though, I think this is the worst 3D Mario Kart. Like, it's better than Super Mario Kart and probably the GBA Mario Kart. I think that's fucking it. This game is fucked. And I've been playing it, and I don't really want to play it anymore. I think part of it has to do with the chaos. Like, they made it 24 players, but they left in all the rubber banding and they left the item spawning at the same. So you essentially have this thing where like 90% of the players are all in a pack together, and there's a little bit of skill, but a lot more luck just getting out of that pack. And if you're ahead of that pack and you get hit, you are very, very frequently in this game, much more than previous Mario Karts, dropping from second to 20th in like 15 seconds. Because if you're ahead of the pack and you get hit, you are almost guaranteed to get fucked over 3 or 4 more times as the rest of the pack comes around you and fucks you over. I don't know, Will, has that kind of been your experience where it feels like there is just chaos in the mid pack because of the increased number of players just fucking each other over constantly in that pack?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, to me, it feels the same as any other Mario Kart, where it's just like sometimes you get fucked and you're just like, ugh. But I will say there's a lot of stuff that mitigates that in this game. You get so many mushrooms and like those super mushrooms and stuff like that. You get bullet bills pretty easily. When you get hit now, you don't spin out. Like you tumble sometimes and have momentum. Even when you hit,
sometimes you do spin out though.
No,
it's
for
not
sure.
Quite clear when it
depends.
Happens. Yeah.
And like sometimes you'll hit a car and be okay. The new jumping mechanic, the jumping mechanics you're just drifting without holding the stick to a direction. That's all it is.
No, I'm talking about when I'm talking about the crouch jump. I'm saying there is a technique. I'm not sure the example of it. You're going straight and you jump up.
Yeah. You do the drift without picking a direction to drift. You're just driving straight and you hold R.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. That you're holding jump without turning. Yeah.
It's in the techniques. I went through all the techniques like list. It's all in there. It's sweet.
Where's the techniques list?
I want to say it's on the home page, main page. There's like a technique where it tells you about all this stuff.
This game tells you nothing, and the open world is a fucking joke because it's like it's half empty and they give you no direction, and they don't. It's not that there's a lot to explain, but they almost give you no explanation. You're just like, the fuck am I doing? You know? I think the other big problem with this game, and honestly, the rest of it I could kind of put up with it, but the thing that really pisses me off is the thing that we noticed when we were playing on launch day, and I had kind of scoffed it off, but I think you were right. It is becoming, it's a bigger problem, which is that there are courses in this game, and I want to say fucking 2/3 of the time, you are not racing on a course. You are racing between the courses. So the way that it works, and I don't know exactly how this works or what mode it applies, but it feels like in most modes, when you're done with a race and you pick the next race, like when I play online, they're like everybody votes on a course and then a course gets picked. At the end of that, no matter what course you pick, you then have to race in the open world with the other people to that course and then do one lap of the course, which means a majority of your race is on the open world roads. And the open world roads, a majority of the time, suck shit. They are just straight fucking roads. And the only interesting thing is that there's some cars. There are sections of the map that have turns and stuff, but most of the time you're racing along, you take a turn, and then you're like, great, I'm just going to go straight for another 30 fucking seconds in the middle of this chaos pack. And there's just maybe some items on the road, maybe a boost path or whatever, but you're just going straight. And it's really frustrating. I don't know. Are you having that experience as well, Will? Like the open world compared to the courses and how much they're prioritizing the open world sections?
Not real. What mode are you playing that you're voting on the next map? I haven't played that.
I'm just doing, it's just the online. It's not the knockout tour. It's the one above it. Or it's just like
Grand Prix.
Race.
Oh, I guess I haven't played.
Yeah,
the
Grand Prix. Yeah. You vote, and then you always have to race to that place and do one lap there. And then you vote, and then you race to that place and do one lap there.
Oh,
Whereas
so you're
in all
not
the other
doing
previous Mario Karts,
Grand Prix.
No, you're not. But you're voting like they're fucking Grand Prix. I'll give you a perfect example. So Maggie and I were playing the other night. Moo Moo Meadows kept coming up for a vote because the way it comes up is it's like pick one of these three to vote for. Moo Moo Meadows kept coming up. Maggie really likes that course, so we kept voting for it. We finally got it picked, and guess fucking what? We spend 2/3 of the fucking race going there, and then we do one lap of Moo Moo Meadows. Moo Moo Meadows is a circular track. You do 3 fucking laps of it in every other Mario Kart. Even when we pick it and it gets picked, they're still not letting us fucking race on Moo Moo Meadows. It's bullshit. Like, it's fucked. Like, yeah. I don't know what mode I have to pick to just do the Grand Prix tracks. I know I can do it in single player. I think in multiplayer you can't.
I don't think you can at all, as far as I can tell. But I haven't dove that far into it.
That's fucked.
That's the only problem.
Should be a special mode, or it should be an option. It should be like a knockout tour. There should be one that's called like Grand Prix Tour. It should not be the default, but they keep doing it to literally the extent that, no joke, 2/3 of the racing you do in Mario Kart World is not on the tracks. And it's a problem because these tracks are great. They're fantastic. Yeah. Mario Kart tracks have always been fantastic. The open world does not meet up to that, and yet 2/3 of the time you're playing in the fucking open world. It sucks.
Yeah, that's my biggest and pretty much only gripe with it messing with Mario Kart is that there is no regular old school Grand Prix mode to just go to the next track. It's always the race to the next thing. Yeah. And it's always the same one in those Grand Prix. It's the first one that you do the 3 laps on. None of the other ones you do the 3 laps on. So yeah. that is my only big frustration with it. Everything else is great. Like I'm excited to have a new Mario. I almost said Mario Party. New Mario Kart racing around. The open world stuff, I don't. It's fun. I don't really care about having an open world in Mario Kart, but like this is everything they based it around, and I feel like they're gonna be hopefully adding a regular Grand Prix mode. Did you unlock the final like Rainbow Road and everything?
I've played it online. I have barely played any of the open world more than like 30-40 minutes because it's pretty aimless. They don't really give you enough tools to. You basically have to play that blind, either blind or with a guide if you want to know where to go. And I think they need a middle ground where they can be like, hey, you're in this area. There's 3 items left, especially because it's a Nintendo game. Do you want to turn on like a compass that points you in a rough direction of where things are? You know, there's a P-switch over there.
Other than stickers that's unlocked in the open world?
I think you can unlock the costumes as well. Because I saw people saying the fastest way is in open world, go to one of the lunch takeouts and just do that.
But the Rainbow Road is just if you beat all the Grand Prix, you get the.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. Because the other problem is because of that, I don't really feel motivated to play this. So you asked me a question on launch day when I started pointing out these flaws, and I was like, why are they doing that? Why can't I place stickers wherever I want? Why can't I use multiple stickers? Like all these little things that were starting to bug me. And I was like, I don't think this is that good. And you were like, basically you said, well, are you ever going to play Mario Kart 8 again instead of this? And I was like, no, probably not. But now I'm at the point where I installed Mario Kart 8 on my Switch the other day, my Switch 2, because I was like, if I want to play Mario Kart, which means playing the course and like learning that course and doing the 3 loops on it, and it evolves and the music gets crazy and you're like, fuck yes, this is awesome. You can't do that in Mario Kart World. And you're going to lose stuff going back, but Mario Kart 8 is still an incredibly good game. And the things that are different in World, it's a mixed bag. Some of them are cool, like the grinding. Some of them are shit awful, like not being able to actually race the courses that you want. So it's like this. I don't think this is a terrible game in any way, but they have had banger after banger all the way up to here. And this being the one Switch 2 launch game, basically, and then making these huge changes and fucking up those changes, but then also making them integral to the Mario Kart World experience where you're just going to have to fucking deal with it. No bueno. I'm pretty upset about this.
There was.
You go.
Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, mine's quick. I was just gonna say that there was a good. I think it was Digital Foundry said this in their video, which really helped me set it apart. Which is like Mario Kart 8 was like the epitome of the technical, like straight serious Mario Kart, and then for World they totally switched over to arcade, curved lines, cartoonish. Like this is the break away from. It's like not the bounce back, but like they're going from super serious technical game over to Mario Kart. No, I'm not arguing that makes it better. I'm saying that's like the shift they made over to it.
I'm saying no, but they didn't make that shift, because if you think about the actual racing that they added, wall riding, grinding, the crouch jump, that's all more technical. And that's what I mean, how this game has a much higher ceiling and there's a lot more technical racing aspects to it. It's just the way that they've laid the game out is fucked, because they don't really let you play those courses even if you want to play them, and you get stuck in the open world, and they have a whole open world mode that is just not enjoyable. So I hate to disagree with Digital Foundry, but I think that is completely incorrect, because that makes it sound like they dumbed down the game and made it more open. They did not. And more open and accessible. No. They did not. If anything, this is one of the most difficult Mario Karts, I would say.
I mean, that's wild, but okay.
But think about all those open world sections where it's just straight line, right? And so you have to be doing the grinding. You have to be hitting these more technical elements in order to be able to keep up and get ahead of everybody. Like it's those points where they kind of strip out. I don't want to say the course BS, but like where the course can help somebody who's not quite as good. And now you've got a straight line where it's like, no, you got to show off your actual like skills here in order to be able to catch up and get better. This, and especially with 24 people, because if you make a mistake, it's not, oh, there's 2 people near you that'll pass you. It's like, nope, there's 10 people past you.
I guess. I think actually, yeah. Maybe I'm just playing this game
really is the most difficult
casually than you are, because like I'm not encountering any of that really.
I don't think it's a difficult game. It is just the most difficult Mario Kart. So that's why I push back on the idea of it not being technical. It is.
No,
it is very technical.
They were talking from a visual standpoint, not from gameplay standpoint. For as far as cutening everything up. Yeah. Anyways, Ian's gonna give me shit for this, but I am gonna put it on the GOTY list.
Ugh. Jake,
I'm fascinated to eventually get my hands on this, ideally before the end of the year, because a lot of the stuff that both of you are saying about it is, well, so let me preface, when I saw the initial trailer for Mario Kart World, my brain went, I'm seeing a lot of what looks like Lego 2K Drive in this. And not to say that Nintendo, those hacks at Nintendo are stealing from visual concepts, but that perhaps it was like a bit of parallel thinking in the development of those two games. Where I'm fascinated to get my hands on it to see how much of that is true. But hearing what some of you, like both of you, are talking about, it does sound like the complaints are a lot of the same complaints that I had with Lego 2K Drive in my 2K Drive review. And I was a little bit worried that I had like monkey's pawed myself, because at the end of my 2K Drive review, I was like, I know this isn't going to be the case, but I have always really just wanted a Lego racing game that's more like Mario Kart. And now they've made a Mario Kart that's more like the Lego racing game. So I'm definitely interested to get my hands on it just to see how it feels. But
I mean, at the end of the day, it still races like a Mario Kart.
Reservations about it. I'm sure that it does. And the stuff that I've seen all looks like it looks really fun. But I was entering into it with a little bit of reservations because of how much it seemed like this probably will have the same issues that 2K Drive had in my own kind of in my own video game sensibilities. But
it's just in my head, Mario Kart since 64, every single release after that has been at least a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. Like they just nail it every single time, right? Even when they go to Double Dash and they introduce a different mechanic, it's at least implemented really well, right? So it's like, whether you like it or not, it's still really well implemented. And at that point, it's just personal taste if you like the two drivers or not, right? This is the first game where it feels like they have regressed, and I think in a significant way. Now, that being said, I still think it's like a 7 out of 10. It's still fun to play. You should get the Switch 2 bundle with Mario Kart World because, it's probably worth $50, especially since this is the only game for the console right now, pretty much. But when it's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and all of a sudden they release something like this, that's why I'm getting so upset and frustrated here, because I'm like, fucking guys, how did you fuck up like this? Like you've been smoking the good stuff for so long, and you're in a company that will put games on a shelf for 2 years like they did with Everybody 1-2 Switch, and then just like quiet release it out the door just to get rid of it because they know how bad it is. How did this get out the door as a 7 out of 10 when it should be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 like Mario Kart has been since 64? That's why I get so emotional and frustrated with it. I don't think it's a terrible game. It's just very surprising to me, the problems that it has.
I can see that. Do I think it's as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as it is right now? I don't think so, but I'm not in any, I think that's the difference. I'm in any way, I'm not disappointed in any way. Like, I don't even think Mario Kart 8 was that great when Mario Kart 8 came out, but it has become great. It has become the definitive Mario Kart. Like, nobody plays any other Mario Kart.
You keep saying that, but you got to admit that the only thing they did with 8 was port it to the Switch. So it was no longer it became a handheld game, and then add courses to it. So Mario Kart 8 had plenty of courses when it came out. So you're acting, I'm putting words in your mouth, but the way you're saying is like, but remember Mario Kart 8 was like a 7 out of 10 when it came out, and then it became a 10 out of 10. It was like, no, it was a fucking 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And then they just kept adding to it, and I'm not expecting this to have as many courses as Mario Kart 8. That's not my problem. My problem with World is that it has like inherent fucking problems with how the world is integrated into all of that game and how bad that is. Like, let me play fucking Moo Moo Meadows 3 laps. It's as simple as that. And they're not even letting you do that. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, I see that. I see that. And I think that's the disconnect, is like, I don't, and you're going to give me shit for this, but like that doesn't mark it as a negative for me, but I understand why it is a negative. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
But at the end of the day, I'm playing a new Mario Kart and having a blast. So I don't care. Like, yes, would I like to play Moo Moo Meadows 3 laps? Of course I would. But am I excited that a new Mario Kart's out here and I get to play it? That's just pushing everything out of the way,
I hate to say it, and this isn't me being mean, but I think the statement you just said was literally like, I'm buying into the hype regardless of how good the game is.
No, I think the game,
because you're like, I know it has this bad thing, but as long as I get to play the new game, I'm happy.
But it doesn't have a bad thing. It's just missing something. So I don't count that as a negative to the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. It is how bad that is to you versus how bad that is to me. And I'll just say, it is I do have very high standards for this game, but I think they have earned that because of how good this series has been up to so far. And that's why, there are 5 out of 10 games that I've not been this passionate about the negatives for, but it hurts more because it's Nintendo and because it's Mario Kart, because it's something that I love. That's why it hurts more for me.
You just got to be more easygoing. Just got to say, I don't care.
Hey, fuck you, pal.
Just got to
Listen,
be
I
happy.
spent 2 days in Jersey. I'm not easygoing anymore, okay?
Just let it flow. Great.
Anyways,
I don't think any racing game should have an open world in it. That's the conclusion I've come to.
It's at least nice that the open world means nothing in that game at all. Like, don't even. I mean, other than the.
I want to move on, but you say something like that, like it's nice that it doesn't mean anything, and yet it's all over the fucking game.
No,
like,
I just
2/3
mean
of the game is forcing you into the open world.
Okay, never mind. Let's get out of here. Time for the news.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Mario Kart 9 out of 10, folks. You heard it here first. Summer Game Fest E3 recap. Man, E3 every time. Ian, you want to take us through this?
Yeah, we had a lot of showcases going on. We definitely watched some State of Play, Summer Game Fest, Day of Devs, Xbox Gaming Showcase, PC Gaming Showcase, lots of other stuff happening. I took the liberty of putting down some games here that wanted to call out. We don't have to go over all of these, but these were at least the ones that touched me. I was touched by these games. Looking through this list that I've got of kind of these highlights, are there any on here? Jake, you want to go first? Any on these jumping out to you? There are 2 that say Lego in them.
Mm-hmm. Those were the 2 that people tagged me in. No one tagged me in the trailer for the Expanse game, but which I'm a little disappointed about.
I don't think I tagged you, but I posted it. But
you did post it.
Lego. We've got Lego Voyagers, which is a mandatory co-op Lego game.
The spiritual successor to Lego Builder's Journey, it looks like, from the same studio.
Yeah, I think the big question is, who is going to stream this with Jake?
Probably my wife.
Yeah. On stream? Yeah, that could be.
Maybe.
That could be fun.
That
could be fun. We've also got Lego Party, which I believe some people have gotten hands on, and it sounds really good. It's basically
Lego Mario Party.
I'm excited for that. Mario Party is a genre that needs more entrance because it's a great genre.
Yes. Hazel and I were talking about this when I showed the trailer. I'm like, look, Lego Mario Party. And we were like, why aren't there more? And we were talking about Mario Kart because like seems like every big IP now has like their own kart racer. Sonic's got one. The Nickelodeon characters have one. Disney has one. Like, why aren't there more of like these party board game ones? I mean, certain IPs it doesn't, but like Animal Crossing had the Amiibo one, but just make like a proper Animal Crossing one.
They did have an Amiibo one.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of room for this kind of game in a lot of different worlds and styles. And so, yeah, I'm thrilled.
Hell yeah. You want to touch on the Expanse game, which looks very, very good.
I haven't seen, I watched that trailer and then I was like, I just want to, I'm gonna get this.
Yeah. So this is, I believe it's a third person action RPG. Let's just say this. This is Mass Effect. This is Mass Effect, but in the Expanse universe. It's from the studio that's been making Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, some other Warhammer 40k games, which have gotten good reviews. It looks very good. It looks faithful to the Expanse, which is a great world. From what they've shown so far, it looks like it actually is really leaning into the RPG elements in terms of, who you can play and skills available to you, and the gunplay looks good. This may be my game of the show in a way. Like when I looked at this list, there's a lot of good stuff on here, but I think that's the one that made me pop the most. What do you think, Will? Are you excited about this one?
Not really. I haven't seen the show and I only read the book.
Shit.
So it's also like,
show's good.
Yeah. I don't know if the company hasn't made a game like this before, have they? Rogue Trader or am I thinking of the wrong there's a lot of Warhammer 40k games, so you can't.
Rogue Trader is the Baldur's Gate Warhammer 40k.
It's not the tactical one.
No, I don't think it's tactical.
Oh, okay.
Well,
But yeah, it could come out and be awesome.
It could be the tactical one if you're thinking.
Maybe I'm thinking of it. It could come out and be awesome, but this is the type of thing where it's like, oh, these trailers look awesome. It's the Expanse. It's gonna be great. And then it comes out and it sucks and is awful.
That's possible. I couldn't tell from the trailer. Have they said where this falls in the continuity? Like,
I don't know. I was trying to think of Osiris, but I don't remember Osiris being mentioned at all in the TV show.
I don't think so.
It's from Destiny.
Not in the show, and I don't think. Yeah, the Destiny character. That's what it's all coming back around.
But I think to your point, Will, not to continue to play your counter, but I think what made me really like this trailer was that this was not. They showed a lot in this trailer. They showed gameplay, and every time they showed it and a little bit of UI and stuff, it was like fleshed out. It didn't feel like I was watching a specially crafted vertical slice or a tease of like, this is what it could be. You know, it felt like I was watching something that was already, it felt like I was looking through the window on an oven and the cake's got 5 minutes left. Not to say I think it's going to come out soon, but it's like you can tell, oh, this is going to be a good one. There's just something in some of the, you ever have a trailer like that where you look at it and you go, there's a lot of little stuff in here and every single one of it looks really good. Like there's actual stuff behind that because of how it looks, because of how it's feeling, because of how that menu that just popped up looked like.
Yeah. We all love the Callisto Protocol trailer. I'm just kidding. No, I totally know what you mean.
Hyperlight Drifter had a really good trailer.
Yeah, but Hyperlight Drifter was a good game.
It was a good game.
I'm just saying, trailers can be deceived. Cyberpunk had some great trailers.
Yeah. Will, we watched the Clockwork Revolution trailer together. I think you popped for that one, right?
I changed my shorts after that one. I don't know. On second thought, it's awful and I hate it. No, I'm very excited for Clockwork Revolution. They showed all the stuff they had shown previously where you were like, oh, is this just like BioShock Infinite? And then they were like, oh, here's like 10 more mechanics we're stacking on top of this. And it wasn't 10 more mechanics in a way of like, oh no, this is too much. Because you could kind of see like they added sort of the, is it singularity or time shift with like some time bending abilities that would have impacts on the story. Then they showed, what's it, like weapon crafting or something?
Yeah, like weapon customization, like changing the accessories and the stock and all that stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff to set it aside from the initial, from last year, like, oh, it's just BioShock Infinite. They're making another one of those. It seems like a fun time. It seems very steampunky, techie, automaton stuff. So I'm excited for it. It showed really well. And that's a Game Pass day one, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I was surprised by it because what we saw previously just looked like BioShock Infinite. And so I thought they were just making a clone of that, which is okay. But this trailer took it in a completely different direction. Like there was a lot more story going on in a non-BioShock way. Like the main character was being shown in the third person in these cutscenes. They had the weapon customization, which was not in BioShock Infinite. And they had a lot of the, like you were saying, the wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. So it feels like it looks, and it may play similar to BioShock Infinite, but they are crafting their own thing here. And that was nice to see. Jake, anything else on this list popping out to you?
Hold on. Railborn. I don't recognize
You've seen
this
Railborn?
one.
It's awesome.
It's a survival crafting game on rails. So you're literally
looks like it.
on a rail, and your base is a train platform. So it's a survival crafting game on rails, and it looks so good. They did. It looks really, really good. That's Railborn.
Railborn. I'll tell you the one game I'm most excited for out of any other game shown in the entire weekend.
Outer Worlds 2?
Fuck you, piece of shit. No, I am excited for Outer Worlds 2. I didn't watch anything about Outer Worlds 2 because I didn't watch anything either.
But can I tell you one thing that I did see that is crazy?
Is your knees can crack? I did see that.
Yes. It's that the perks in the game have positives and negatives. And one of the examples they showed, there were two examples they showed. One example was that you're like super, super stealthy when you're crouched, but I don't know if it's every time, but sometimes when you stand up, your knees crack really loudly and draw attention.
Incredible.
And then another one was that it was like you're a kleptomaniac, so it's much easier for you to steal things. But the problem is there's a small chance every time you look at something that you'll automatically steal it.
Oh, that's so good.
So, and I love the idea that they're not just doing a Fallout or a Bethesda style game, that they're expanding and iterating on it. And the idea of perks having positives and negatives is one of those fantastic ideas.
They had those in the first game, but I don't think they were. I don't think they affected gameplay in that way. I think they affected stats and stuff, but not in like your knees cracking. Yeah, it was all still stat side. So I like like you were saying, the evolution of pushing this outside of just stats, like your knees cracking or stealing things. No, I'm referring to Big Walk. I'm so excited for Big Walk.
Oh yes, Big Walk looks great.
I can't wait to go on a Big Walk with all you boys. Yeah. From the devs who made Ugg boots, it's Big Walk.
That's right. There's been so many between Lethal Company, Repo, Content Warning of these very small indie devs making like co-op party exploration games. I'm excited to see what I would call a AA take at it, because it does feel like the Untitled Goose Game devs are. This isn't to throw shade on those other developers, but they're bigger. They have some more experience. And so I'm excited to see them take on that burgeoning microgenre of those types of games. And it looks really good. It looks like it's fun. I'm glad it's not a horror, because that's always kind of pushed me away. Most of the games that they do nowadays have some horror twinge to this, but this is just like exploration. Yes, Jake.
House is the only game studio who we have emailed about interest in making a documentary that hasn't just not replied, but actively responded to say, hey, thanks for reaching out, but this isn't for us.
Gotcha.
Those bastards.
Also, it's the only Untitled Goose Game is the only game we've sped run. It's the only game we have speed ran.
Speed
ran. Fired speed ran with me.
I think you're right, but it doesn't sound right. So we need to come up with it's the only game we've speed run. Anyways, we should probably talk about the ROG Xbox Ally X. We can hit on that real quickly, but long story short, the Xbox Ally, the ROG Ally X has been out for a couple years. That is based on a certain architecture. There is a new Ally X coming out. It is a new CPU architecture, and Xbox basically has a branding deal with them to slap the Xbox branding on it. So it's going to be a very powerful PC handheld. I do think some of the Windows enhancements and news around this are interesting. Will, did you see any of the information on that?
I did not. Sounds interesting.
So long story short, the ROG Ally X that currently exists in all those handhelds, when they run Windows, they basically run full-blown Windows 11, right? And they will have some sort of quick access pop-up, I think it's called Loot Crate, that you can pop up to tweak settings on the handheld, like screen brightness and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just running Windows 11. And when you put it to sleep, it's doing Windows 11 sleep. There's been some research. Journalists have done some testing. Long story short, Windows 11 compared to SteamOS, exact same hardware, Windows 11 runs 10 to 20% slower and burns about 10 to 20% more battery, or faster battery. So basically, Windows 11 keeps being installed on these handhelds, and it's a really shitty OS for it. However, as part of this, they are making a lot of enhancements to Windows 11. And there was a couple things they said. One of the big things they said was that they have... It's so weird for them to say this, because it's kind of a little inside baseball, but they literally said, hey, we gave Xbox developers access to the Windows 11 code base. So they are now checking in code into the Windows 11 code base to make a better handheld Xbox mode for Windows 11. And so one of the things they talked about was the with Windows 11, let's call it Xbox mode, which is basically the handheld mode. When it boots up, it actually has a lot of services that it will not boot Like, for example, the basic Explorer, which is the taskbar and the file system Explorer and all that, will not boot up in this Xbox mode by default. And they said that it already gets them 2 gigabytes of RAM back just by turning off a lot of these services and not having them auto boot. So like part of this is it's an Xbox handheld. Cool. Part of it is that AMD announced their next generation, the Zen 2 processors, which are going to be much more powerful than the current processors. Cool. But the other element is that Xbox is really leaning into, we recognize Windows 11 is bad for handheld devices, and we're going to start making core tweaks to it to get you a better experience for handheld devices. So that's kind of the third big part of this announcement, and that'll be exciting to see.
That's awesome.
That's supposed to come out holiday 2025. There's 2 other games on here I want to mention if we can real quick. One is Animo. Will, do you remember Animo? I forgot to link a trailer here.
Oh, that's the Pokemon Power World game.
Yes, there's another company making a Pokemon like that also kind of looks like Power World, but I don't think it has the survival elements, or maybe it does. But anyways, hey, Power World was good. So yeah, Pokemon's great. There should be more companies making Pokemon style games. I'm looking forward to this.
It looked really good. Right, Will? It looked really good.
Yeah, it looked even better than Power World, and Power World looked good and played good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pokemon, though, what was the Game Freak game? I was seeing people posting like a Souls-like that Game Freak had made.
Yeah, I didn't paste it, but it is weird. It is a Japanese looking Souls-like. It looks pretty good, and it turns out it's by Game Freak, who just makes ugly Pokemon games now, which was very surprising. The game itself didn't interest me that much, but the fact that it's by Game Freak was interesting.
They got to spend time on it. That's why it looks good.
Yeah.
They've been working on it for 20 years.
Yeah, since before Pokemon. I just want to shout out...
Will, you've got some?
Yeah, Resident Evil 9. Very excited for that. There was a demo they showed press. Apparently you can play in third or first person, which is exciting because I play in third person, and I sometimes don't get as scared as when I play in first person.
That's fair.
I still jump a lot, though. So I'm excited for that. And then Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Very excited for that as someone who recently played through another Resident Evil like Onimusha Warlords. Recently played through that. Ninja Gaiden 4 comes out next month, right? Next month? 2 months?
I'll look it up real quick.
Very excited for that as well. And then Chronos, that Bloober Team Resident Evil like with the space in the future.
Based on the Guillermo del Toro film?
Yeah, it's definitely based on the Guillermo del Toro. No, but they had some awesome fucking space helmet design in that game, like these big fucking diver helmets. That looks really neat. And then there's
check it out.
Ninja Gaiden 4 is October
21st.
I see that now. And then there was one other game that multiple people said this. We said it, I almost said on stream, but we were in Discord. It looks like Signalis only in gameplay, but it was another one of those like Limbo Signalis types that looked really interesting as well, and I cannot for the life of me. I think it was in the PC Game Show.
Games, my friendo.
And I know, but it was Signalis camera view, but all the stuff kind of give not Limbo, sorry, Inside. It gave you the Inside vibes, but it was like science fiction, and there was a small guy and a big guy, and you seemed to be going into some sort of mysterious space station, space base, or something like that. It was in the PC Gaming Show, and I'm not scrolling through that entire list of games. So the bottom line, there's games coming out, and there's games to play from $2 to $80.
80. Yeah. I've got 2 more I want to hit real quick. One is Luminous Arise, which is a new Luminous game from the studio that did Tetris Effect. I'm kind of excited for that. I don't have much Luminous experience, but Tetris Effect has a great aesthetic to it. So just do that to more games, honestly. And the other one is, not to bring it back to Mario Kart World, but playing Mario Kart World and being disappointed by it makes me a lot more excited for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, because I was a big Sonic and Sega Racing All-Stars Transformed fan. It's a fantastic kart racing game, and Crossworlds looks like a more traditional kart racing game, which I think is what I really want to play right now. And so that's coming out in September, and that got some additional trailers and stuff. And
Sonic Racing
really
Rift
good.
Apart.
What'd you call me?
Is that not the name of the Ratchet and Clank game where they
Rift
do
Apart?
the portal? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What the fuck does that have to do with this?
It's not Crossworlds, isn't it? Crossworlds, you're like go traveling
it's
between.
Crossworlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got there. That's
Sure.
fair.
Okay.
We got
Jesus, get this moron out of here.
pretty good E3 though. What do we think of E3 overall this year? I think Sony had a poor showing, but they still had some stuff. Nintendo didn't have a direct, but they had a console launch.
Really long.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. I think we got a lot of good stuff from this.
I give this year's E3 a 25 out of 20.
Give it a 3 out of 3.
Whoa, what the fuck? You
3 Fs.
That may be it for news, unless somebody wants to talk about this item. I didn't add it.
Oh, I added the inside. This is just more of a content call out. Go read the Jason Schreier Bloomberg about Dragon Age, the new Dragon Age, and what happened behind the development of it. It reads like a chapter of one of his books that isn't about Blizzard. It's just very interesting. Basically, a lot of it boiled down to like. It was originally a live service game, then it went back to a single player game. They were always under the impression it was going to come out in the next 6 to 12 months, so they like never changed any things. That's why all the dialogue apparently in the final game is very stilted, because they had to quick change from the like it wasn't quite a Borderlands tone, but like they were like making it a bit more comedy snarky than super serious. And then also something about the Mass Effect team coming in as the USS Enterprise to their pirate ship. And like basically this sounded like very corporate and jobs, and I'm sure Ian you'll understand some of this, but it was like the Mass Effect team was coming in to fix the game, and they were getting things and budgeted things that the Dragon Age team couldn't get beforehand until the Mass Effect team was coming in to save the day. But they weren't really saving the day. They were just getting things approved that the other team couldn't. So it's just like this whole mishmash. So if you're at all interested in the fall of a lot of BioWare stuff, go read through that. It's great reporting on what happened behind the scenes there. So definitely check it out.
Where do you think we'd be right now if Bloomberg had been elected president?
In Afghanistan.
It was 20. That was what was that? That was 2020.
Was it not 2016 that he was running?
I thought it was the same. No, it was 2020, because 2016 was basically Clinton Sanders.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
And Sanders?
Clinton.
Probably about the same, honestly. I think we would just be right back where we are.
You guys pumped for the parade?
Rich guy in the White House.
Because that's the thing is Biden didn't really do anything terribly wrong, but he also didn't do anything terribly right. He was, and it's the same. Same with Bloomberg. He would have just been a dead duck president. So,
Michael Bloomberg
eating all the blueberries.
Sorry, this isn't Tuesday. I rescind all. the
I'm sorry.
talk.
I'm 2 days late.
Sorry,
my bad.
Well, it's today's Force Day. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get the fuck out of here. I want to jump off a bridge, please. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I've been your host, Will Crosby. The wonderful and opinionated Ian Gibson is here. He was hanging out. Jake is also here. He only accepts.
I don't have any opinions about anything.
Yeah, exactly. He only accepts phone calls on Wednesdays, so make sure to keep that in mind. His phone number at the bottom of the screen,
Jake's a centrist,
or in your
You said it.
Jake's a centrist. Voted for Bloomberg. We'll be back
both sides
tomorrow, possibly with some Next Fest demos. We'll see about that.
Yeah,
and then
or RoadCraft. I may need your help.
Sunday service on Sunday. I gotta get working on that. I did find 2 video games from Blue Sky. 2 Christian video games were released on Abandonware this week. So here we go.
Gotcha.
Perfect timing. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.